For years, I've been lucky enough to travel the world, but I always return to Cornwall. This county is famous for rugged coastlines and sweeping beaches.
This is cool.
But Cornwall has so much more to offer.
These mines get almost a mile out to sea. This is a wonder of the world.
Now I want to show you what this place means to me.
They're like sweeties.
From its rich culture
I love these here.
to its ancient history.
Hello?
I talk to those who love this place.
This is where I feel at home.
And as you'd expect, I celebrate great Cornish food.
We take this in, they're more than happy.
Along the way, I hope to inspire you with my own dishes.
A sensational pud.
What I discover is that Cornwall is different to anywhere else in the world.
And it's that difference that I want to try and explain and to tell you what Cornwall means to me.
My home county of Cornwall has the longest coastline of any British county. Just over 600 miles surrounds this westerly peninsula, which at times makes it feel like an island. In the rush to get to the beach, many overlook Cornwall's rivers and estuaries, which provide some wonderful places to explore and rich history to discover. Take the Fowey Estuary, possibly one of Britain's most beautiful inlets, and the watery grave of the last king of Cornwall, Dungarth, who drowned here in 875. I've met my friend Cathy St. Germans, who lives on the banks of the estuary, so knows it well.
So peaceful, isn't it?
So nice. What's that? It looks like a little folly there.
Well, it's a bathing hut. And,
Some bathing hut.
I know, isn't it? Well, the legend goes that Edward VII used to come and bring his mistresses here
Wow.
and take advantage of the bathing hut.
I mean, looking at it, you sort of almost guess there must have been some illustrious
Yeah.
users of the bathing
Yeah.
pool and inhabitants of that little love nest.
Yeah. And there's also a story that Garibaldi bathed in that pool. When he came to England, he only wanted to come to Cornwall.
Cathy moved here 4 years ago after her husband, the 10th Earl of St. Germans, died.
Look at that church. I mean, that is just
St. Winnow.
Saint Winnow.
I think it was built to be seen from the water, don't you know?
I was thinking that, actually.
Well, you'd feel closer to God, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think you would.
And he was a saint. He could do what he wanted. My husband was a saint as well. St. Germans.
He was.
Yeah. Apparently, Cornish churches are some of the oldest and smallest in the country.
It's part of Cornwall I should be coming to a lot more often, but it's well, I suppose one of the great things about it is that it's a bit hard to get to.
Yeah.
Cathy is a local hero in these parts. When lockdown began in March last year, farmers in Cornwall struggled to get their produce to market. Cathy saw a way to help them, setting up a charity called Farms to Feed Us, which empowers farmers to sell directly to their local community via a dedicated website. Downriver in the town of Fowey, we arrive at the North Street Kitchen, a new restaurant which champions Cathy's passion to use locally sourced ingredients.
Oh, this looks nice.
Hi.
Cathy's Farms to Feed Us initiative, which began in Cornwall, now helps farmers all over the UK.
Now, 18,000 people have accessed it, and we've got over 300 farms on there. And it's really helping people to connect with their community and farmers to connect with their community of consumers.
And it wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been for the COVID lockdown.
No, there wasn't a database
Yeah.
of local farmers and who you could buy from. People didn't know what was over their hedge or behind that gate.
Ethan, the head chef, is making a dish which has become famous in this town, a crab Scotch egg.
Oh, and here's the
Wow.
been slightly salivating about these.
Yeah.
Oh, it's lovely. I haven't had a Scotch egg for ages.
Pretty classic kind of seaside food, I always think. You know, kind of like picnic on the beach, little Scotch egg.
I particularly love this salad.
Yeah,
actually.
thank you. So we actually grew that ourselves, which is quite a nice.
Where, in
nice
your
little
in your
niche.
kitchen garden?
Just on the other side of the river, we've got a really traditional walled garden. Kind of like completes the whole sort of cycle of like growing, cooking, serving food. It's just really quite nice to have that kind of self-contained little kind of bubble.
And Ethan was part of Farms to Feed Us at the beginning, helping us find great farms and producers in the area, and now he's on it himself.
Yeah, being able to supply other people as well with stuff we've grown is just like beyond our expectations.
So the whole thing works, doesn't it? Because as soon as you accept that you can, it's only what is growing or what is being reared at the time, then you get rid of this sort of thing. I must have
Asparagus in August. Sorry to mention.
In August in Mexico.
And look how beautiful it is as well, because it's so fresh
I know.
and alive.
Good dressing too.
I left Cathy and Ethan and went to explore the medieval town of Fowey. I love Fowey, partly because it was the home of one of my favourite modern writers, Daphne du Maurier. There's so much of Cornwall in her novels, especially Frenchman's Creek, Jamaica Inn and Rebecca. Her home, Ferryside, provided the peace and the atmosphere for a lot of her writing. At the mouth of the River Fowey is St Catherine's Castle. More fort than castle, it was built by Henry VIII in the 1530s to defend the harbour. More recently, it was used to house anti-aircraft guns during the Second World War.
I do like to let my mind wander a bit, especially with a view like this. I'm thinking about Henry VIII building this fort and loads of forts all up and down the country because of the perceived threat from the break with the Church of Rome. Why did he break from the Church of Rome? Because he wanted to divorce Catherine of Aragon and marry Anne Boleyn. It's a lot of money to spend for a roll in the hay, I say.
Two centuries earlier, during the 100 Years' War, Fowey was a hotbed of piracy. Lawless mariners were given permission to raid and capture ships in the name of England, as long as they could get away with it. They became known as the Gallants of Fowey.
If you're fond of daring-do poetry, like the highwaymen came riding up to the old inn door, then you'll love Henry Sewell Stokes' Gallants of Fowey. I've written down 2 or 3 verses just to give you an idea, but it's got a very strong rhythm and it's diddly, 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 diddly like that. Gallants of Fowey, good hands to get freights or take prizes. Ahoy! Though I hang for it shortly, I'll hazard the trip and be one of the crew of that sea-going ship. The anchor is up and the harbour chained down, and the bells they ring merrily out from the town. We shall soon find a Spaniard or Frenchman, they say, and bring something back to this snug little bay. What happens is they go out to sea and they see what they think is a Spaniard because it's got the flag and the colours of a Spanish ship, but it turns out to be a Dutchman. And the Dutchmen are really, really angry because these gallants from places like Fowey are coming out and nicking their cargo. So they capture them and they take them back to Holland. And the last couple of sad lines, but not really sad because it's such a jaunty poem, read as follows. "'Twill be many a month ere I shout ship ahoy, and a long, long goodbye to the sweethearts of Fowey."
And I too must say goodbye to Fowey. About 5 miles upstream is Colwith Farm, which is in the business of making something which the Gallants of Fowey would no doubt enjoy.
When I was a boy, I we lived on a farm in Oxfordshire and used to go to Cornwall all the time. And a lot of my German relatives used to come over, and I thought they sort of looked down on us a bit in this little farm because they came from a big house in Düsseldorf. They had names like Walter and Tante Brunhilde and Alla. I didn't really care for Alla that much because I was a little bit older, and she used to come the most often, of course, and she was the one I really didn't care for. Because she once said to my mother, complained to my mother, and I was aged about 13 or 14 at the time, I think, that I was fat and lazy and spent all my time listening to Elvis Presley. Well, of course I did.
I'm telling you about this because my German relatives made vodka, which is exactly what they do here at Colwith Farm.
What a serious bit of kit up there.
And just like my ancestors, they make vodka from the humble potato.
This is the Fowey River Valley below us, and it's just so beautiful. I like this sort of dappled weather, a dappled sky, and the big potatoes. Hello! What's the crop? That's more important than saying, how are you?
That's right, that's right. This is a field of Sagitta potatoes.
Sagitta, I know those.
It's a chippen variety.
Quite a creamy yellow flesh.
Quite friable and
Yeah.
quite light because
What
you're
does
on,
friable mean?
well, like loose
Usable,
and not
sort of.
too heavy.
Yeah, and
Sort
that's
of
good for potatoes.
Yes.
Father and son Mike and Chris Dunstow are the 4th and 5th generation of farmers here.
So, of course, the other, thing that you've made a big deal out of is you can turn these into vodka.
Yeah, you certainly can.
Because
So-
my German family started as potato farmers in northern Germany.
Right.
And just as a way of adding value, I bet, they started making
Yeah,
vodka
yeah,
out of it.
they-
What about you?
Well, they're quite well ahead of their time, weren't they? Because it took us a few hundred years to catch up with that. But we've come up with this name for the vodka,
Yeah.
the Valdor, which
Yeah.
is apple of the earth in Cornish.
Sounds like straight out of King Arthur and his round table, or indeed...
I think that's where it came from.
Do you think so? Valdor!
Yeah, Valdor.
While one side of the family grows the potatoes, Mike's other son, Steve, takes charge of the distillery.
So that's mashed up potatoes.
Yeah, we call that a mulch potato.
Okay.
So that's ready to go into our kettle now. We heat this up to 95 degrees,
Yeah.
add a couple of enzymes, cool it down.
That's to make potato
Yeah.
wine, I guess.
So this is our potato wine.
Is it tasteable?
Yeah, I think so. It's
Just put some on my hand. I won't take a swig from the bottle. It's like somebody's homemade wine that hasn't been terribly diligent in it, really. It just is very yeasty.
but it's perfect for us to go
Yeah.
from no alcohol to 10% alcohol,
Yeah.
right through to 96 in a minute.
The potato wine is put into a still and heated to evaporate the alcohol, which is collected and called a low wine.
So what sort of percentage of alcohol would that be now, then?
This is a 30,
Yeah.
so we've gone from 10 to 30,
Yeah.
and then we need to go even higher.
The low wine is transferred to a second still, where it's distilled further to make ethanol.
So what we have here is a lovely ethanol, which we will dilute into vodka. So this is 96%. Yeah, I wouldn't take too much.
Well, it doesn't last anyway. It's just...
But I mean,
It's not unpleasant, though. It's just...
no, I mean,
It just vaporises off your tongue.
yeah, and you know, the aroma, the nose that's giving is sort of very sweet, ethyl ethers, creamy.
Yeah, and not unpleasant at all. No.
Go and have a sample.
I think we should. Looking forward to it.
The ethanol is diluted with locally sourced mineral water to create their award-winning Cornish vodka.
Sounds very nice.
Yeah, there you go.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Right, here
Shall
we
we?
go. Yes.
Cheers.
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 That is altogether agreeable. It's just very... I can't sort of... There's no word I can use. It's not like tasting wine and saying it's sort of like you know, flavours of the forest or something. It's just got this sort of, I don't know, it's sort of almost like it's almost like a Cornish flavour. It's you're out there in the potato fields and there's a little gentle rain and it's all soft and the light is soft and the estuary looks soft, the valley below looks soft, and that is the flavour. So, you won a prize where?
San Francisco.
Well, thought a Cornish vodka going all that way. So what was it? What was the prize? And
A double gold in best vodka in the world. So
fantastic.
it's quite good when you consider we were up against your usual suspects, the sort of big household brands.
Yeah.
They're coming home with bronzes and silvers, and a little old Cornish distillery gets a double gold, which is the highest accolade. So, yeah, we're really proud of that one.
Their vodka has given me an idea for a very simple recipe. But first, I just need to find some blackberries.
Favourite time of year for me, really, was blackberry season. I often think I'm guilty of eating more than I pick. But there is something unique about wild blackberries in the autumn.
Blackberrying is one of Britain's favourite pastimes. It's thought we have 1,000 different species on our shores.
If you compare them with the taste of cultivated blackberries, the cultivated ones are, of course, much bigger and sweeter and more succulent, but they don't have this sort of indefinable, wonderful, wild taste about them. And I just think that going on walks, for me, any time of the year is also about foraging. I love finding wild sorrel, parsley. Even thinking this year the rose hips are so good, I might even try that. I just love our hedgerows.
I'm going to show you how to make a blackberry compote to go with vodka drizzle pancakes.
I did actually manage to get some in the bowl, as I ate so many. I just love blackberries. I thought I might drizzle the pancakes with a little lemon juice and vodka, just to make them slightly boozy.
Pancakes are an ancient recipe of flour, egg and milk. They're so easy to make. Start your pancake batter with 1 egg dropped into 125 grams of plain flour.
I always put oil in my pancake batter. It does help to stop the pancake batter from sticking to the pan.
Then gradually add about 300 millilitres of milk, being careful not to make the batter too thick.
It's always a good idea just to check at the last minute that you've got that sort of the right thickness, because if the batter is too thick, it just looks wooden. If it's too thin, it falls apart. If you get it just right, you get this lovely laciness in your pancakes. So that's ready to go.
Cook each pancake for a minute or two on each side,
Well, that's looking pretty nice.
and then keep warm.
I've just borrowed this pan. I had 2 identical pancake pans. You have to get used to your pans. And once you've got pancake pans, you use them for nothing else but making pancakes. Well, certainly in the restaurant. And you don't let any of those other chefs get near them. Next pancake.
The great thing about pancakes is that they're so versatile. You can combine them with almost anything.
In the restaurant, we make seafood pancakes, which I haven't put on the menu for years. And I'm just thinking, like I brought lobster thermidor back to the restaurant, I think we should bring seafood pancakes back. Everybody loves them. Basically, you just have a pancake, a little bit of white wine and cream sauce, and some nice fish like scallops, prawns, maybe a bit of white fish, maybe a bit of cheese, fold them up, a bit more sauce on top. Lovely. That's a nice looking pancake. I'm very pleased with that one.
And now for the best bit.
So I've got about 200 grams of blackberries there, and about a tablespoon, that's the juice of about half a lemon. Just make my little compote, nothing to it. About 50 grams of sugar, I guess. Stirry, stirry. You might be asking, what is a compote? I don't really know. I think it just means sort of soft fruit cooked really in its own juices with sugar. French word. We probably haven't got an equivalent English word, really. Often the case with cooking terms. That's going very nice. I'm just going to try that. Fabulous. Flavours of the hedgerows. This is a sort of pudding, sort of sweet dessert I love because it's A, it's in season, which is fabulous, but B, it's light. I am going to finish it with a bit of cream, but you don't have to include that. Now, some sugar. This is childhood memories. Bit of lemon juice. Now, this is optional, of course, but if you like a boozy pancake, just a little bit of vodka on the top. Roll up. And now for the compote. Now just a little bit of cream. Cornish clotted, of course. Oh. Can you taste the vodka? You can't taste it, but you can feel it. I just think this sort of dish is what we do so well in this country. It's just really easy to do. It's just so lovely. It's using local ingredients in season. You can keep your many starred or hatted dishes with all the fancy pants bits and bobs on it. This is what I really like.
I've always championed the benefits of simple, well-cooked dishes. Just outside the city of Truro is a place taking this culinary belief to a new level at a feast night where everything is cooked using traditional methods learnt many hundreds of years ago.
Well, this should be a lot of fun. I've heard a great deal about Nancarrow farm feast nights. Basically, all the meat they cook at the farm is reared on the farm. Most of the vegetables are grown on the farm, and they cook over charcoal, which they make on the farm. It's become a bit of a legend. I mean, Jack, my son, said you've got to go. Everybody says you've got to go to a Nancarrow feast night. Apart from anything else, the word Nancarrow means Valley of the Deer. So it's all going to be about a great feast of beasts and vegetables.
This is a little Mississippi John outside.
And there's quite an appetite for this rustic, simple way of eating. The brainchild of head chef Jack Bristow.
Right, Roscoe, one more side and you're good to go. Back to the side now, yeah?
First up, a starter of char-grilled squash.
So on here, the squashes that we've cooked have been done in a method where we burn the charcoal down to embers and then we smother it. So we bake it the whole way through. So you'll see on here, you get a really dark skin. Almost,
Yes.
people look at it and think, oh, you burnt it, you ruined it.
Yeah.
But actually, there's enough moisture to steam it. You see, it's like really nice and soft.
Can I try a bit?
Yeah, of course you can. So we slice the squash, and then we dress it with our salsa verde. So a super acidic, herby dressing to break through the bitterness. So that's one of our veggie offerings.
Thank you very much.
A lot of vegetables have that moisture in them, and all you're doing is that moisture is boiling it for you. It's stewing it from the inside.
It's so good. I'll try a bit of beef with it then.
Yeah, no worries, mate. So this is our beef. So this is our brisket.
So how long did you cook this for then?
Well, we cook it in the wood oven overnight.
So good you can cut it with a spoon then.
Exactly. You just put it on a little bit of salt, and that's it. It should just taste of a real good classic, like roast beef.
So you've got a wood oven. Where's the charcoal then?
The charcoal is everywhere, really, so we have no electric. We have electric for lights, but that's about it.
This is... Most of the people wouldn't have tasted food like this, would they, that they come here?
People ask us, oh, where'd you get your techniques from, and like how...
Where do you get them from?
You start reading history books from hundreds of years ago, and this is how they cooked through fire. So we just simplify everything we do and focus on the ingredients and on the produce.
Gosh, if you like your beef, you just, it's like,
It should just fall.
oh, that fat is just, do people mind that amount of fat? Everybody wants lean food these days, don't they?
You want the fat, so when you slow cook it, it doesn't just go dry, it's melting and falling apart.
Just loving this beef.
You got a second, Rick? We'll do cabbage. That's the last
Tell me
one.
about the cabbage. It looks dreadful, like it's all like,
Yeah.
I know it's a current trend to sort of
Yeah, just
blitz
burn and
cabbage,
grill
burn
everything,
it.
yeah.
Can I try a bit?
Yeah, of course you can. So you can see Ricky now, it's just basting with the smoked butter. So that's stopping them from going crispy, and it's just adding that little bit of, like almost like an umami flavour from the smoke.
Well,
And
I
then-
need to try this because every time my son Jack, who you know, puts the sort of blitz cabbage on the menu, I just think, oh gosh, I'm not sure.
So we've got the cabbage there, and you can see that how much butter's kind of soaking up through all the different layers. Nice. And then we got the dressing afterwards and the kale.
What is the dressing then?
So the dressing is, we have loads and loads of kale growing in the garden. We've actually got too much. So we blitz it into an oil, and we fold hazelnuts through it, just so it's got a little bit of a kick and all that oil seeps through the cabbage.
Amazing. Who would have thought that burnt brassica is so tasty?
Exactly. You cook them a little bit differently. You get a lot more to them, a lot more texture, a lot more sweetness.
Unbelievable. Well, I must say, I think Jack's always been going on about, my son Jack, about burnt cabbage, and I've just been sort of a dad, really, you know, just thinking, no, we don't like the idea of burnt cabbage, but he's right. There's so much flavour in it. Also, I think food is sort of like changing, that it's becoming so honest, actually, to look at. And gone are the days when everything was neat and tidy and you had like little dots, or as one friend of mine called spit and chives. You know, a bit of foam and a bit of chives across it. This is like, this is man's food. Learned so much. Talking to somebody like Jack, it's just changing my whole view. So for me, it's a journey of discovery.
Join me next time as I continue my journey across the ancient land of Cornwall.
It's a beautiful day, we're going lobster fishing. All's right in the world, I say.
Yeah, that's a nice one. Nice pot lobster.
I wanted to show you a lobster risotto dish.
Perfection, perfection.
The secret of all kitchen gardens, feed the soil feeds you.
It's a great family meal. Put that down on the table and tell them all to get on with it.